Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Guys, if you want to take advantage of the big discount I have on my course, it's on a Black Friday sale, which will end at the end of this week. Just go ahead and check it on my website. Anyways, going into the track guide itself, what I'm using here, and this is key, I'm not using the fixed setup. What I have here is a setup that I was using like 2 years ago, and basically this setup has lower downforce and just the ride height a bit lower. Basically you need to have the car like a bullet right here. You want to punch the air, you need a lot of straight line speed. So if you're running the fixed setup, obviously that's fine. You will be competing against people that are running the same setup. But if you're running the open series with a fixed setup, you will be at a high disadvantage. The lap time can be close to 1 second just by lowering and trimming your wings. So make sure if you're running open setup, you have a lower downforce, the low downforce package selected. And in terms of the brake bias, I'm using a lower value as well. I'm using the 54.8%. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to promote some oversteer on corner entry. So basically, because I don't have that downforce to help me rotate the car, I'm trying to do it with the brakes. I'm trying to rotate the brakes from the mechanical grip and inducing a bit of oversteer on corner entry by just downshifting quickly and having an aggressive rear end brake bias will help you make the rear slide. So these are the two main things you want to first start with before even just going in the track guide. Make sure you're compensating for the lack of downforce and make sure you're running lower downforce in order to be quick around here. Now in terms of braking, for turn 1, I'm braking at this orange part of the wall close to 100. So at this point in time, I'm applying the brakes. As you can see, you really have to brake late into this corner. And it's hard. This is a tough corner because if you're not going to brake late, you will lose a lot of time on entry. If you brake too late and you lock up the inside tire while turning, you will completely mess up your mid part of the corner, probably also the exit. So make sure you're having a consistent reference for braking, because if you have a good reference, the braking will be consistent. Even if it's late, it will be consistent. Now, in terms of my approach, I want to use this part on the left-hand side. I'm not trying to do it on purpose, but I just have a slight idea that I need to open up the next corner. And even though my vision is on the right side and I'm looking at the apex on the right, on the back of my head, I know that I should be brushing with my left tires this green part to open up more. Now, going into this corner, I'm downshifting to first gear, and the downshift from 6th to 1st, actually from 6th to 2nd, happens very, very quickly. You have to downshift as quickly as you can because a late braking point without aggressiveness on the downshifts to introduce the engine braking will not yield that stopping power that you need, and you will miss the corner. So almost imagine that you have like a downshift machine gun on your left hand and you just want to spam it up until you get to 2nd gear. From 2nd to 1st, you have to time it, but from 6th to 2nd, you just have to go as quickly as you can. Downshifting to 1st gear, and it's key here to cut a lot. You see how much I'm cutting this curb? If you don't cut here enough, you will be in a tough position in the next corner of the chicane. So cut a lot. When I'm in between these two corners, I just give it a blimp of throttle, which is short-lived because you don't want to say too much on power because you will understeer on your way out. You just want to, if you feel, basically the way you do it, because you're not thinking about it when you're tackling this chicane, the way you do it is that if you feel like the car is slow, then you will add just a tiny bit of throttle in between these chicanes. Ideally, you should feel like the car is slow in between the chicanes, because otherwise I'm pretty sure you will lock up the inside right tire if you're still trail braking. past the first corner of the chicane, unless you're not running like a super aggressive rear end brake bias, which may allow you to get away with more braking force. I think having this little bit of throttle will be straight up good. And now when we're turning into this corner, you can just have like a 1% braking just to make the front tires point, or a slight lift. Doing a small lift here, even though it's not like 100% the right way to do it, it will be on average really quick, because if you time it right with the lift, you won't lose nearly as much. And the advantage of not being on the brakes here will be the tire temps. But like the perfect on the book way to do it would be to add just a tiny little bit of trail brake in between, and then when you go on power here, you have to build it up. You can't just smash the throttle on your way out. That will be slow because you will have the rear sliding. So because this corner leads to a big straight, you must prioritize the corner exit, and the rear tires are helping you on the exit. Imagine like the rear tires are just thrusting the car forward, they're pushing the car forward. So if the rear tires are sliding on your way out, then obviously your exit here will be compromised. So in order to do this, you have to modulate, to be really careful with your throttle input and the steering input, because if you have too much steering angle applied and you're also going on power, then you will just slide the rear. So it's not necessarily just the throttle alone. The combination of throttle plus the steering angle can make this exit really bad if you just go past the limit. And also, what I'm trying to do, and if you go slower on my lap, you will notice, even right here I can show you, I'm steering very quickly. You see what I'm doing with the steering? I'm trying to arrive at 0 degree steering angle as quickly as I can, because I know the moment I will be close to 0 degrees angle, I can just smash the throttle. So being quick with your hands here really can help. And up until the next chicane, it will just be a straight. Now in the next chicane, again, we need to cut a lot. The reference for braking here will be the 100 meter board. Past the 100, we will apply the brakes, and you really want to cut as much as you can, because trust me, if you're not putting attention in the first corner of the chicane, no matter what you do, you will be at a big disadvantage. So there's no way for you to make up for the time you will lose if you don't cut this chicane like this. If you don't cut it like this, there's no way you can take the next corner quicker. So cut as much as you can here, brake late, and just balance the car with the brakes. And the moment that you reach on the curb, then you should just push the throttle. To give you a bit of an idea, what I think here in between those two corners and what I like to do, to never drop the throttle to 0. Right now I'm gonna push the throttle, but it's gonna be impossible to hold it to 100% from this point on. You see, I'm going to 48%. Now I'm gonna drop it when I'm taking the second one to 31, and then I'm bringing it back to 0. And if you just barely brush the gravel on the left, it won't be an off track. If you take too much, it can slow you down, but if you take just the right amount, I think in this lap was close to the right amount, it won't make you slower, and it won't be an off track as well. So try to use everything. And in terms of the second corner of the chicane, once again we have to get close with this orange sausage curve without going completely over it. Think about almost kissing it. And again, don't drop the throttle to 0. The moment that you touch it on the first corner of the chicane, up until you get on the exit, you should go progressively up. You can go a bit down, but don't drop it to 0. Now for the next corner, this will be like, for the braking reference, I'm doing it mostly on feel. I'm looking at this orange dot here, and kinda around the orange, past the orange, I'm gonna apply the brakes. I'm definitely looking more into the corner. I'm downshifting to third gear, and I aim to get very close to this compression on the inside. Brush this curb, because this curb is not that tall, so you can almost press with your right tire on it. Get very close to this orange wall part here, and then smash the throttle on your way out. This will give you a good exit. And now for the next one, this was one of the mistakes in the lap, which I really regret, because this lap could have been like 1/10 quicker just by having this corner done right, maybe 1.5 tenths quicker. So braking at the 50, downshifting to third gear on our way out, And my mistake here was being so early on throttle. At this point in time, I'm already back on throttle, and this is bad. This is bad because it will push my car all the way on the outside, and I will run off the track. I will have to do corrections on the throttle. So if that is you, the fix for this will be brake a bit softer, just push more speed into the corner. This is like a general tip that applies beautifully here. Like if you feel like you're going off the track because you were early on throttle, the reason why you were early on throttle in the first place was because the car felt slow. So in this instance, the car felt slow to me because I braked a bit too much. Because I brake a bit too much, now I'm earlier on throttle, and while I'm aiming to cut this green part of the curb, which is fine to do, you will see myself dropping the throttle and then braking back up, because otherwise I would have hit the gravel. So definitely here your throttle shape should look more vertical without going down. You always go up. So easily for me 1/10, 1/10 and a half with just being a bit later on the gas. So notice that even though this corner leads to a big straight, being early on the gas, if the car is not properly rotated, won't be enough. So instead I should have just stayed on the trail brake, but in lower percentages, so the speed will be right. Now going into the next chicane here, this chicane was quite good for me. I had a really good vibe rotating the car. The braking reference will be the 100 board. So at the 100, we're gonna apply the brakes. We're gonna brake initially on a straight line, try to keep the steering wheel straight. And while downshifting here to fourth and then third, you must go as close as you can to this yellow and black anti-curbs. You don't want to touch them, but you have to go like really close. The closest you can get away by pushing your left tire near them, the more time you will gain, because on your way out, so first of all, the moment that you touch this curb, you should go back on throttle aggressively. Notice I'm at already 100% throttle, and then I'm gonna use this part of the curb with the red, green and white to lean my right tire into it, because this curb helps rotating the car. It makes the car rotate more towards the right if you push your tire on it. But don't go onto the black and yellow anti-curb, just stay on this part of the curb, and keeping it flat for gear cutis as well, go like this on top of it, and then you should arrive here, and it won't be an off track as your left tires are still on the white line. This is the general flow in the chicane. There's a lot of lap time to be gained or a lot of lap time to be lost if you're not cutting enough in the first corner of the chicane. So as you can see, turn one, the first chicane, the second chicane, and this third chicane, all the chicanes of this track, if you don't cut enough in the first corner, you get penalized, and you get penalized hard, because no matter, as I said, no matter what you will do afterwards, the time that you lose is not coming back. Absolutely, you will just have a shallower line through the corner, and the more space you gain here, the more time, and also because you're running a lower downforce setup. With a lower downforce setup, your room for errors is tight. You can't really make the car point, so you have to take advantage of every inch of the track. Now, going into the last corner, this high-speed corner, let's say medium to high speed, either way, what I'm doing is here at the end of the green or the beginning of the 50, I'm applying the brakes, and I brake and turn at the same time into this corner. I want to take an early apex because this curb on the apex has a, let's say, has a big advantage. You can hook your right tire on top of it, and then it will make the car turn even more. So what I'm doing, taking an early apex, like at this building right here, I'm apexing, pushing my tire all the way near the grass, still on the brakes at this point in time. So notice that I'm not braking hard, I'm braking quite soft, but trail braking for longer. And then when I hit this curb, I just go on power, and as you can see, the tire go a bit up and down, but with those up and down movements, it helps me rotate the car actually, and now I can just stay at 100, because you will say, okay, you will understeer on your way out, but no, look, the car is already rotated and I have plenty of space. You can argue that I could have been even like a 1/10 of a second earlier on the throttle and still made the corner. But yeah, in short, that's how you do it. That's a lap guide around Monza with the F3. It's a very fun track to race, and if you want to improve at a quicker pace, again, check out my course. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.